Hello.
On behalf of KDK College of Engineering, I, Dr. Mrs. Sangeeta Wankhede, convener of this STTP, welcome Dr. Kishore Revatkar, Professor, Head of the Department of Physics and Vice Principal of Dr. Ambedkar College, Nagpur. He is also Secretary of STAMI. I also welcome all delegates and participants. Today is the 5th day of STTP and the topic of this session is Scientific Challenges and Achievements of the 21st Century, a Perspective. I request all participants to drop their queries in chat box at the end of the session only. Now I request Tulankar Madam to please introduce Revatkar sir. Madam, please.
Thank you, Wankhede Madam, and a very good morning to all. Wish you all a very happy Yoga Day, and thank you to all those who joined us for the yoga session in the morning. Hope all would follow the simple yoga techniques in your daily routine, as we all know that yoga brings together our physical and mental harmony to achieve a calm and peaceful body and mind and help us manage stress, anxiety, and gives relaxation. It also increases our strength and confidence. So be healthy, be confident, and be calm. Moving towards the penultimate day of our STTP, I am immensely pleased to introduce Dr. Kishore Revatkar to you all. He completed his PhD in 1996 and has a teaching experience of 30 years at UG level and 6 years at the PG level. Presently, he is the head of physics department and also the vice principal at Dr. Ambedkar College, Nagpur. His research interest includes spectroscopy, that is X-ray absorption spectroscopy, ferrites, nano-sized hard and soft ferrites, their structural, electric, and magnetic behavior, crystallography, the crystal growth, and material science, magnetic and ferroelectric materials. He has guided 25 students for PhD and has above 127 publications to his credit. He has also authored 6 books for the UG program. He also has chapters published to his credit, which include Transtech Publications Switzerland in 2015 and 2020, Materials Research Foundation USA in 2018. He has been awarded 3 patents, one for low-cost microcontroller-based rotating crystal growth instrument, second for the metamaterial-based 5G antennas for mobile networking, and the third one for the automated vibrating sample magnetometer instrument. He's also the reviewer for reputed journals like Materials Journal of Chemistry and Physics, International Journal of Luminescence, Journal of Magnetism and Magnetic Materials, and Journal of Australian Ceramic Society are a few to mention. He has completed various projects and has been associated with RTM Nagpur University and Gondwana University as a Board of Studies member. He holds memberships of various organizations, and the most significant are being the Founder General Secretary of Society for Technologically Advanced Material of India, that is STAMI, our partner in the organization of this STTP. He is the recipient of Dr. Krishna Kumar National Award for Physics by Mahatma Phule Talent Research Academy, India in 2014 and a Distinguished Fellow Award by Vishwashanti Multipurpose Society, India in 2015. So let us welcome the eminent speaker for today, Dr. Kishore Revatkar, who will speak on scientific challenges and achievements of the 21st century, a perspective. Over to you, Dr. Revatkar, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an elaborative introduction. I have heard so many things about me. It is very much. Can I share my screen?
Yes. Oh, yes.
This will stop.
I think you can share.
No, it is okay. It is okay. It
Yes,
is
yes.
okay. Yeah. Is it okay, ma'am?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Screen, we are not seeing your screen, sir. PPT नहीं दिख रहा है. We are not seeing your PPT.
I see. So please try again later. Some error code is showing it is. I don't know.
Just a moment.
Error 105035.
So try to share it again.
Okay, I can do it. Now,
No.
PPT is not there.
the error code is showing. There is some error is showing. I don't know.
Where?
Just a moment.
From your side, you can try.
Because
some error is showing, or you may have to allow me to share my screen.
Sir, you are co-host. You are already allowed.
Okay. Multiple it is showing. No, still it is not.
No, PPT is not there.
Madam?
We are seeing
That error, it is showing error, madam. Some error it is showing. I don't know.
Otherwise,
Do you have his PPT with you? Wankhede madam?
no. Can you send just now to my mail? Otherwise, I will
Madam,
show and then.
madam, it is too big. It is something about some 100 plus MB.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
These are the problems which we need to resolve because
multiple participants can share simultaneously. That option, advanced sharing options, Yogesh.
Same. It is showing same. Just I will try now. Still it is not showing.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It is a shared content is fit to screen came just now.
Now it comes. It may come.
No.
Hopefully. Now it is okay?
No. We are seeing your face only, sir.
God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
मध्ये एकदा आलं होतं तुमचं म्हणजे स्क्रीन आला होता तुमचा एकदा आता जस्ट 1 minute बिफोर.
Now?
No, sir.
Still it is not.
No.
From your side, Praveen, can you do anything?
Sir, I will from co-host and then again reassign you co-host. So let's hope it will work.
Or shall I sign off and then once again I try?
Okay. That also you do.
You can try now.
Okay.
Screen.
Is the advanced sharing operations part.
I will sign off first.
I think it is all who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. इथे पण all participants. अच्छा, who can share only host वर नाही केलंय ना आपण all participants वर केलेलं आहे advance sharing मध्ये.
Pankaj sir, Gaur sir, you just try to share your screen.
पंकज फोन करून सांगू का?
Try to
तुम्ही तुमचा स्क्रीन शेअर करून बघा पंकज. हो दिसत आहे पंकज.
So I stopped sharing from this side. Now, sir, Revati sir, try to share your screen.
Yeah. Is it okay? No. I will just sign off and then once, because there is the error is showing.
Okay.
I don't know what is that.
Okay, you sign off and again join.
Yeah, again join. Okay. Same error it is showing.
There might be some problem with it. So, are you sharing PPT or you are sharing screen?
No, I have my PPT. I opened it. Many times I did it. I don't know what is this problem. Share computer sound.
Sir, first open your PPT.
Yes.
Then you go to share screen.
Yes, it is open already.
Okay.
Yeah, my PPT is open. And
Sir, there is a problem in audio somewhat. It is not clear.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to
never imagine like me. Can you hear me? Any
yes,
problem with my audio?
Yes. Now it is
distortion
audible.
Shall I continue or stop?
Yes. Now it is audible, sir. In between, there was somewhat problem in echo was there again.
Okay. So I was talking about the non-believable applications of the nanoscience that will come forth, and maybe there was a paper by Martin and Shimomura and Roger in 2008 where they have imagined that this kind of the thing may happen, that in a
what we say, Mofussil area or villages, there is a problem of rodent, and if we put some material like a fluorescent material, as Wankhede madam is working on that. So fluorescent material to the grain, which are edible fluorescent material, and maybe the problem can be resolved. But this will come for in a future, maybe in the near future we can have, and maybe we can have banana, oranges, then tomato, and then kiwi fruit, and maybe fish with the apple taste, or maybe a chicken is enough for us to have a party of 500 people, or a cow who can we can fetch about something, maybe 500 liters of milk, and maybe this cloning is possible. Okay, anyway, so I'm going little bit faster. So nanotechnology has a research focus on main 4 areas, where one of the area is a synthesis, wherein the chemistry of the material can be designed. The material can be designed as per the requirement. Then second area where the metrology or nano processing, we can say that. And nano processing is also one of the important area. So unless we cannot process, how can we realize that whether the materials are nanomaterial? Then, as we all know, the nano devices and nano electronics is already there, and now people have focused into a nanobiological side, nanomedicine, as the COVID has made us think about the people that we should come together, not from the one discipline, but we have to work hand in hand with the biology people also. That, or we may have to include a medico person in a physics, or medico person working with an engineer also, so that the kind of the problem that we are facing nowadays, the pandemic, so that can be resolved. So I'm skipping it because maybe the other presenter could have explained you. But how small a nanomaterial is, something like that. So I could have this example that if we consider a person who is about 6 feet tall and can cover a distance of about 32 kilometers in a day or 20 miles, and if we shrunk that person to a height of 1 nanometer and ask the person to stand on the one corner of a 10 rupees note and go to the other side, cover the distance of that 10 rupees, then it may take something about 24 years. So such a small nanomaterial is that. Then what is really a nanotechnology is all about? It is nothing but tailoring a bulk property of any material. So we can tailor, we can cut short, we can design the bulk material and then convert into the nanomaterial. Then interesting result at the nanoscale range we can observe. And all the nanotechnology or nano effect is size related effect. You can say that. Then we can have the enhancement in the sensitivity of the material and enhance the storage capacity. This we all know. If we take an example that what is all about, what is so fuss about the nanotechnology. So we all know that Google, any search engine will produce 1.6 million hits. But nanotechnology, in a short, we can say that is one of the way becoming the first $1 trillion market. It has already captured some market. I'm skipping some of the examples. So now the Richard Feynman in 1959 in a Caltech University, in one of his lecture, he spoke about the principle of physics. As far as I can see, do not speak against the possibility of maneuvering things atom by atom, or there is a plenty of room at the bottom, that he has said, and now it becomes a reality today. This is about the gold. You can say that as the gold temperature of the melting point of the gold as a function of the gold parameter, particle diameter. If you consider, then as the diameter, if you go from some diameter in a nanometer, as you can move, you can see the melting temperature will be different. And also this is the fact that no more the gold is in a yellow color. It is not a gold yellow metal, but we can have the blue, green and other shades of the gold also. This is about the transition in 2001. You can see 7 nanometer area was there wherein they can have the storage capacity, but from 2001 to 2009 and now we are in 2020, the capacity that has been increased and the size, if you can see. I remember that when I was in MSc, maybe 30 years or 32 years back, we used to have a floppy disk, a plastic or a polymer disk, wherein we can store hardly a few MB. But now you can see the AFM images of the CD surface, that is a quiescent. So we can see the surface also, but that is possible with the AMF or atomic force microscopy. So this effect of the size of the property will be is because the what kind of the size we are taking. If you consider an example, you can see the different color shades of cadmium selenide nanocrystals dissolve in the toluene. The size of the nanocrystal progressively increases from 19 angstrom or 0.19, you can say that nanometer to 6 nanometer, something like that on the light. So if you consider the natural butterfly, and if you see the above images, because I don't have the cursor, this is what I say iPad. So I am trying to give my best on the iPad. Anyway, so the butterfly wings, you can see the pattern that is possible with the help of a surface electron microscopy, and you can see a photograph pattern that will be on a graphene. That is the red circle, red and the yellow and other shades are there on the graphene. So you can compare the natural size and the artificial size of the graphene. So you can see that. So it is possible to reach at such a small scale and change the property. So another example of a natural nanocrystals or a nanomaterial is that Brazilian crystal opal. The play of color is caused by the interference and diffraction of the light between the silica sphere. So the first image is, you can say, Brazilian crystal. And the other image, you can see two cups are there. So Lycurgus cup, it was in the 4th century. The nanotechnology is not new technology. It was in the 4th century also. It was in India. It was in the other countries. Even in Syria, there is a place called as Damascus. The sword of Damascus was very famous because they used to, after the preparing the sword, they used to quench the sword and they put into the carbon powder, and so that a particular kind of the carbon pattern that was developed on the sword, and it gives a sharpening or hardening to the sword. So likewise, this cup was in the 14th century. The material they have coated, so from one side, if you see it looks like something green, and if you throw a light on it, then it turns into a red color. So that is possible. So the classification of nanomaterial, as we all know, 0 dimension, 1 dimension, 3 dimension. Then there are different kind of the structures the materials do have. You can see even in a graphene or the carbon, we can have a 0 dimension fullerene, 1 dimension carbon nanotube, 2 dimension graphene, and graphite, a 3 dimensional. 0 dimensional nanostructure or nanoparticle, we have different kind of the nanostructure and nanoparticles. I'm skipping this slide. So nanoparticle properties, if you see, then we can see a different kind of the properties associated with the different kind of the shapes, different kind of the composition, and the multifunctionality that is being observed in a same kind of the material if we change the size and shape and if we do the modification. So there are so many applications of nanomaterials are there, or nanoparticles in textile, biomedical, healthcare, food, agriculture, industry, electronics, environment, and so many things are there. So now how the properties of a nanomaterial for the sensing applications is very simple. The main role is a surface to volume ratio. It can be seen here. If you see a block and if you cut it into parts, so then the size or the surface will be increasing with the reduction in the size that is possible. So this is the best example. Even a BSc student can tell that if we compare a big sphere and the same sphere of the smaller size sphere of the same volume, then we can see here in this case, the 1000 sphere of the radius R1 R upon 10, where R is the radius of the red color sphere, and R1 is the radius of, you can say that a blue sphere. So if you compare the volume, then volume-wise it will be same, but the surface to volume ratio that will be increasing. So why we are interested in a nanostructure? So nanostructure, there are so many things associated with the nanostructure. we can use for the various kind of the sensing applications. Then magnetic properties, as I am a person who is working on a magnetic material, so we can have that magnetic property. We have never imagined that a gold can be or a platinum can be a magnetic material. Yes, at a bulk level, it is not a magnetic material, but at a nano level, if we see with some variation or some alteration, we can have the particles, gold particle, which can behave like a ferromagnetic material. Then we can have the improvised optical properties, improvisation in the color. As we change the size, the gold can show a red color. Here you can see a gold sphere of 10 to 20 nanometer exhibit a red color. A gold sphere of 2 to 5 nanometer exhibit a yellow color, and so on. If we go, this silver particle is having the same case. Then we can change the electronic properties also. We can change the energy band gap also. That is possible with the help of this. We can owe the intrinsic wave-like nature. Electrons can tunnel quantum mechanically between the two closely adjacent nanostructure. So, in short, if we change the bulk material to a nanomaterial, then we can have alteration, or we can have the improvised properties of the material, that is electrical, magnetic, catalytic. Even catalytic property can also be there. Mechanical property, hardness and toughness of the metal and alloys. Carbon is already in the market. Then optical property, spherical properties, increased selectivity by changing the structure, and even some biological property also. This is one of the you can say that zinc oxide, as we all know, zinc oxide is a very famous oxide which can be used in the paint and the coating. Even the cricketers can put a mask of the zinc oxide particles or zinc oxide cream on their face. The cricketers you might have seen with a white face. So that is nothing but a zinc oxide. So what is so special about the zinc oxide, if you see, it is having the hexagonal woodside crystal, and the band, direct band gap you can see. I can compare here also gallium, this GaN with ZnO. So you can see the band gap at 300 degree or about room temperature, 3.37 electron volt, and GaN has 3.4 electron volt direct. Then crystal structure is almost same. Woodside crystal, it is a tetragonal, and it it is a hexagonal. Lattice constant also you can see. Binding energy, then melting point, density is more or less it is same. Thermal conductivity you can check over here. So this will help this nanotechnology, but this ZnO, which is a good competitor with the GaN semiconductor, so that will come. And with the help of a field emission, scanning electron microscopy, SEM and TEM, we can have the nanowires, nanorod, nanotube, different kind of the structure, nanoring and this and that. There are different kind of the methods of nanomaterial synthesis. Some of the methods are very simple. Even in the laboratory of a graduate college, we can prepare some of the materials, and we can have the properties also. So there are different kind of the applications. One of the application which is a flexible Schottky diode, and the nano generator that will be coming in a flexible form. So it will be possibly maybe in another 2 or 3 years, we can have the mobile phone which is a flexible. We can fold it like a piece of a paper. We can put it inside the pocket, and whenever we require, we can convert it into a bigger size also. So that is possible. Now people are trying to look for the strategies against the COVID-19 or such kind of the viruses with the help of the medicinal nanochemistry. So it may be possible, but it will take some time, because the COVID doesn't allow to think over that, because suddenly it has come and the people are trying their level best to find out the solution. Of course, the microbiologist, but as I told you that alone it is not a problem of one particular science section. You can say that a biological person or a mathematical or a chemical side or a physical side or a engineering side, everybody has to come together on a common platform, and they have to share, because the kind of the problems, the kind of the scenario that has created COVID, so one has to think over that. So I am skipping some of the slides, fabrication and this and that. Yeah, this is one of the applications of a nanotechnology in a future, that we can have a nanomotor. So people are already working with the help of a scanning electron microscope. The Dr. Alex Zettel, he's from a Berkeley laboratory, Berkeley, you can say that. So they have worked on that, and they have observed that it is possible that carbon oxide to an individual iron atom sitting on the flat silver crystal and chemically bound CO to the Fe by applying the voltage, it is possible to run like a motor. One of the area where my interest is a spinel ferrite, or the we can say that the hard ferrites. If you see the time scale, then in 1900, the people were working on the basic properties. Then slowly, as the time progresses, and today we come to drug delivery also. People are working on drug delivery. We are also working on that with the help of that. And that is possible because if you see the multi-domain material, any material you can consider, ferroelectric material, where the multi-domain is there. So that means a case of a bulk material. So now, because of the nanomaterial, we can change from a multi-domain material to a single domain. On the very right hand side, you can see single domain material, and which has a property of super paramagnetic material. So the material can act like a magnetic material or ferroelectric material or ferrite material, and at a particular temperature, that temperature is called as a blocking temperature. So it will block or it will seize the magnetic activity of the material, and it becomes a non-magnetic material. So that is a possible single domain. So there are so many things which I wanted to share with you, but because of the time constraint, I am sorry. So someday we can have the detailed discussions on that. So you can see the left hand BH curve and the right handmost BH curve. So it is a single line. So we can have the switching kind of the thing will be there, where it has a zero corrosivity. So that is possible. And there is another application of ferrite that is being people are working on that. That is called as a hyperthermia. Hyper means a high, thermia means a heat. So we can insert a nanoparticle in the body where the problem is there or something like that. This hyperthermia has been used for the you can say that the cancer treatment, some kind of the cyst cancer treatment, wherein we can target the cancer cells with the help of the magnetic material. We insert through the blood, because blood circulation is everywhere inside the body, in the affected part also. And from outside, we can control the flow of the magnetic particle with the help of the DC magnetic field, And then once they will be taken to that part of the body, then it will be allowed to settle down over there, the body, because by adjusting so many things. So whatever the complications are there, complexity, you can say that is there. But I am telling in a simple way to understand the concept. Okay. So after that, by applying the alternating magnetic field, now what will happen, that this nanomagnet, small single domain magnets, keep on changing their field. So there are two kind of the motion that will be taking place. One is called as a Brownian motion, and another one is called as a Neal motion, wherein the pole of the that nanoparticle that will be keep on changing, and because of that, the heat that will be generated, and because of that heat, the cells can be destroyed. We come to know that if the normal cell, if we heat, then at about 51 degrees Celsius, a normal cell burnt off. But the cancerous cell burnt at about 45 to 47 degrees. So this 5 to 7 degree difference can be taken into consideration, and people are working so that this magnetic material can have the blocking temperature. That means it can seize its magnetic property at a 45 to 47 degrees Celsius, so that even if the magnetic field outside AC magnetic field is in a function, it won't change the polarity of the nanomagnet. So likewise, this thing will be goes on. So that is what hyperthermia that will be going on there. Then the timeline you can see over here, the sales from extra or the from outside and inside also we can do that changing. So we can develop a material from a multi-domain to a single domain. So with the help of which we can insert this, and this is something about called as a drug delivery system. So we can coat a drug in the nanomaterial with mycelium or the micro emulsion technique, and then we can insert the material, then it will break down inside, so that at a particular problem where the effect is there, so that can deliver the medicine over there. So utility modeling, so because I am working on a different IPR, so the I cannot change the animation. So otherwise we can have the whatever I explain you here, so it will be there. So once you inject the medicine, so then it will be taken to the tumor with the help of the external field, and then it will be burned down. So this is how we can deliver the drug. Then there are other kind of the applications are there. We can remove the proteins, protein separation, then magnetic guidance to the cell, removal of the hazardous cells also that will be possible. And there are so many things are there. So one of the area which my students are working is a microwave dielectrics. A patch antenna, as we all know, we are all using a mobile phone. In a mobile phone, if you see the frequency range, it is something about 2.5 to 4 gigahertz frequency is there. But we can develop a patch antenna in the range of 35 megahertz to 2.5 gigahertz, and we can make use of the patch antenna. Earlier, mobiles were having a big size patch. Nowadays, if you have the older phone, then you can see on the edge of the mobile, on the screen edge of the mobile, you can see there is a black line of strip is there. So that strip works as an antenna. But nowadays, you can have the infinity kind of the concept that has come, so that from one edge to other edge, there will be no black line over there. So we can explore the maximum portion of the mobile phone is also there. Then there are other frequency applications are there. So we came to know that the microwave absorption will be done with the help of the ferrite material. So up to 17 gigahertz, we have successfully observe and analyze the material which has been patentized also from my lab. Till date, we have patented 11 patents, out of which 3 patents are mine, and the other patents of the other faculty and other students are there. So, and out of the 11, 9 patents has already been awarded towards, and that work we have carried out in the laboratory, which is Dr. Ambedkar College Laboratory, wherein it is known for the BSc, but we have MSc and other graduation courses also there. And these are some of the antenna applications are there. That's time running is fast. I will take in 10 minutes and I will finish it up. So another applications that we are trying to do is solar cell applications, which is very much of interest to the people. So the other speakers have already talked about the solar cell, but let me tell you that in a solar cell presents the silicon solar cell or the semiconducting solar cell have the single layer, mono layer, we can say. Rather than reflected, diffracted ray will be on the same side of the material. So that is possible. That means we can say that a negative Snell's law. So what is that? What is that meta material? So it is a very simple that if you put an object in a hole and a light wave, so it will go around the object to effectively rendering the object almost invisible. A very simple thing. If you throw an ordinary light on any object or any material, then we can have either its shadow or image, or we can say that there is a blockage of the light. But the metamaterials are not a natural material. They are artificial material which can be used for a cloaking device, so that they cannot block the light. What if even if there is a blockage, the light will turn down. The light will curve around the object, and that will proceed in the forward direction. This is what you can say that. So we can have metamaterials. Meta means, you can say meta means a beyond. So material which we can see the conventional electromagnetic property beyond the conventional materials, you can say that are effective way. So we can have a double negative. Negative means on the same side, you can say that, so that mu, permeability and permittivity, that will be less than 0. So that is possible over here. So these are some of the applications which can be used for the 3D printing or designing of the designing we can do. Even we can use in the medical also. Then there are other advanced materials are there, which if we talk about a solid material, then we can divide solid material into metal, organic, inorganic, then crystalline, non-crystalline or ceramic, then functional and optical, and depending upon what kind of the material that we are using. Then the sensor materials are there. So in a sensor material, most of the time the ceramic material that has been used, or the shape memory alloys are used, or optical fiber, conductive polymers are there. I'm skipping some of the slides. So there are fine ceramic material. Most of the times we know that the ceramic materials that can be used for the crockery and the other thing, but there are other technical applications of the materials are there, and that will be depending upon what temperature range we can make use of that. So that is also been there. So there are different kind of the applications of the ceramic materials are there, and some of the popular ceramic materials, that is a thermal NTC, negative temperature coefficient and positive temperature coefficient. Some of the materials are being used already there. Then some ferroelectric materials that can be having the wonderful properties, and some of the materials which are ferroelectric, BaTiO3, you can say that, which can also be used. We can replace it for the so many applications, and one of the application is ultrasound, medical imaging during a pregnancy, or if you want to have the ultrasound. So this kind of the ferroelectric materials that will be used. Then it is called as the eye and ear of the Navy. In sonar hydrophones we can use. Then harnessing the ocean sensor, actuators, ultrasonic flood detections, new memories, and so many things are there. Now we can call a smart material. Nowadays we are talking about a smart, not a person but a materials also, the same material. And the best example you can say that is about your mobile phone. Now the mobile phones, you imagine a mobile phone, or you imagine a phone wherein we have to shout at the tip of our voice. Maybe 30 years back, you see conventional phones by BSNL. So wherein we have to connect to a person in other, other state or other country, we have to give a trunk call. Now it is not necessary. You can connect to any person on the surface of the earth, to any part of the globe. We can connect, and that is possible because some of the smart materials. So one of the smart example I am telling, smart sensors, the composites are there, ceramic, polymer, shape memory alloys are there. Nowadays people are working on shape memory alloys, and some of the crystals which can sense it, which can visualize it. So that is a smart sensor eyes. The electronic brain, actuator arm, and in actuator we can have electromechanical and electrostrictive, wherein some of the drug delivery electrostrictive material have the collision, artificial muscle, and this and that. So this is how we can say that the sensor to gather information, whether it is a mechanical, biological, chemical, magnetic, or etc. Then in electronic process we can have the actuator. With the help of that we can move the, I'm skipping this slide because the slide numbers have lot up. So this is one of the applications. Now people are thinking about a smart home control system. So with the help of a mobile phone or with the help of a remote, we can control all the systems, all the accessories even your car, even your door locking system, lighting, fan, fridge, TV, these, that, whatever you want to control it, you can control with the help of a system. And there we are using a smartphone. So now people are working on that. And to a greater extent, that is already been there. And maybe in a future, we can have this kind of the future car is something like that, so that which can act like an aeroplane and which can act like your bullet, which can act like your car. So it will work on a road, it will work in the air, or even sometimes it will work in the water also. So these are some of the areas wherein people have already working, and some smart materials are coming forward, which has having a tremendous and tremendous application, we can say that. So with this, I will come to the concluding part. And one of the problem that we are facing is a global warming. Now, this global warming, what we can do, it is not an individual responsibility. It is everybody's responsibility. Whosoever is sharing a space on the surface of the earth, one has to think, because what kind of the earth we are living for the coming generation. So it is very important that instead of putting a lot of money in the bank for the generations, it is very important that we have to think about our Mother Earth, and in that, what kind of the smart material or what kind of the smart technology that we can make use of, that is very important. One of the problem of the global warming is climate change. From the 20th century, I can show you here, if you see the global temperature, if you can see in the mid of the 20th century, something about, we can start from 1940, something like this. It was something null temperature, we can take whatever the temperature of the earth was there. And from 1940 up to 2000 or even 2020, you can see there is a rise in the temperature of the globe, or global warming that has been increased. And this has created a lot of problem, as we can know. The impact of the global warming on the climate change, the glaciers are melting. Then this is greenhouse. I am just leaving one. The contributor in global warming is the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons. CFC, we can say that, which has been used in the fridge, like that. So that is very important that we have to think about that. Under the name of the development or developed country, we have to think that how much we are contributing to the environmental pollution, and how smartly we can convert this technology into the technology which is environmental, eco-friendly, you can say that. So that we have to think. So here I can appeal to all the delegates which have registered for this particular STP, is that you should think about that. Just forget one thing, that doing a research is possible in the laboratory, because I started my career as a researcher in a official area. 15 years I worked in a village, and after 15 years I came to the Dr. Ambedkar College, wherein I started the research. And today in my college, when I joined, it was a undergraduate college. Today it is not only postgraduate college, but the students can complete their PhD also. So till date, as Aditi madam has told you, that 26 students have received their PhD from Ambedkar College. And it is an undergraduate college. It is known for the undergraduate, but we are postgraduate, and then after post-graduation, PhD, and some nanoscience, nano diploma course also we have developed. So it is not necessary that you should have the high-tech instrumentation. No, not necessary. You have that particular right attitude. You have the thinking that I can do something, I can contribute to the nature, so that it is possible. If you consider an example of a rice paddy field, everybody is paddy field during it is a 3 to 4 months crop. In the 3 to 4 months, if you see from the rice paddy field, the methane gas that will be emitted out, and every year the range of the methane gas that will be emitted from the paddy, something about 30, again adding to the global warming. And is the earth is getting really hot? Yes, it is getting hot. As we can see, it is slowly getting hotter and hotter, and the world temperature could be 3 to 9 degrees higher by the end of this 20th century. Just imagine that what you are giving to your coming generation. Are you giving the coming generation? Yes, I am at the end of my slide. Just 2 minutes, I'll be finished. I know that I am taking much of time. Okay, anyway. So the annual greenhouse gas emission by the sector, different sectors are there, but I'm skipping this out. So you can see here the risk on the impact by 21st century, the temperature will be increased by 6 to 9 degrees Celsius. You just imagine what will happen, and the effect on the weather, effect on the ocean, effect on the agriculture, and in a long term, so many things. The acid rain is conifer forest in Canada. They have received the acid rain. Then heat and cold wave. These are the global warming or the climate change economy, and there are so many impacts of the economy. What can I do to help to fight the global warming? So this is probably my last slides. So we have to drive smart cars. Nowadays we are using a car. So because of this pandemic, we know that the pollution level that has been reduced now. The report shows that the hole in the ozone layer has thickened down. The reduced down. The ozone layer has been thickened. That is because of the people have stopped using the car. Is it not possible that at least twice or thrice in a week we can go by a cycle? We can share our car, we can share our bike, so that much of the pollution we can reduce. We can choose an effective vehicle so that it will be possible. Electric vehicle is possible. We can drive smart. We can have the green homes and buildings also. We can buy efficient applications. Yeah, so many efficient applications are there. We have changed from the candescent light bulb to a LEDs. So that is a good thing. But again, we can think about so many things. Energy is one of the problems. I'm skipping these slides because we can make use of the renewable energy source. If Wankhede madam give another function, so we can make use of the solar cells. So here in this area also there are a lot of potential is there where we can explore the solar energy, unconventional or conventional energy, and then we can say that the energy harvesting is very important. So with this, I'm sorry, but I almost ran away with this. Thank you. Those who are having any questions, you can ask me right now, if madam permits me, or you can write to me on my email ID is there, kgrevatkar@gmail.com. My phone number I had given deliberately because somebody wants to work for their research, carried out some research kind of work. I'm working on a nanomaterial, nanoferrites, or the other kind of material also I'm working. So anybody who is interested, my lab is open for 24/7 and 365 days. We don't have any holidays. One or other student is always there because my college management has permitted us to work on that. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And at the end, I should mention Dr. Sangeeta Wankhede for giving me this opportunity. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, thank you, sir, for your such a valuable, wonderful, informative session. I want to ask, sir,
Yeah.
I the particle size range in our Nagpur?
Yeah, madam. Yeah, we can measure the particle size with the help of weight analyzer.
Okay.
My voice is echoing.
I think.
So I will close my previous this what I say.
Okay.
Avantika.
Now it is really a fruitful session for all participants. Now the session is open for discussion. It is over to Archana Ramteke, madam. Dr. Archana.
Thank you so
Madam,
much,
please.
madam. Thank you. Very good afternoon to all of you. I, Dr. Archana Ramteke. Now starting with a question answer session. I request all the participants to stay connected to take the advantage of complete session. Please post your queries in the chat box. Before starting, I'm really very much thankful to Dr. K. Revatkar sir for giving such a nice and illuminating information on scientific challenges and achievements of 21st century. Sir, the materials are nano, but your information is really high end. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we are starting with the question answer.
Yeah, ma'am. I'll be happy. I'll be happy to answer the question.
Sir, the first question is, how is shape memory alloy is fabricated?
Madam, please repeat it.
How is shape memory alloy is fabricated?
So, shape memory alloy, you are saying.
Yes.
How it is fabrication. So the fabrication process is, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the shape memory alloy is there, and it depends on, see, we can take a layer by layers. Am I visible or not? I don't know.
Yes, you are visible, sir.
But I am not seeing my picture over here. Okay, anyway. So I suppose that it is a static kind of teaching well there. So see, if we take an alloy,
Yes.
and then you can go layer by layer. You can have one layer of that. It is possible to have the atomic layer because we are talking about the nanomaterial. So it is atom by atom or molecule by molecule we can do that. So one best example is GMC, GMR or CMR. GMR means a giant magnetoresistance and CMR means colloidal. What is colloidal means a colonized magnetoresistance is there. Nowadays we are using a memory, so that memory consists of the GMR and CMR technology. In a giant magnetoresistor, what happens? That one layer of the magnetic material that will be taken, above which the another layer of non-magnetic layer, then layer by layer we develop that. Okay, and then we can have the cut into the kind of the shape or the size we require, and then we can make use of that. So this is epitaxial growth, you can say that it is possible. Epitaxial growth, you can say that layer by layer you can develop one above the other, so that whatever the material you want, you can have that kind of the alloys or the compounds or metal, non-metal, resistive, non-resistive, the other way.
Sir, there is a next question. How is ferrite-based solar cell is cost effective as compared to silicon-based solar cell?
Yeah. So, is it a question from a student or a faculty?
Sir, the participants only.
Participant.
Actually, the name is not written. It is administrator.
Because why I ask that if the student, then I have to explain in other way. If faculty is there, they have some kind of the understanding. Anyway, but I will consider in between the thing. See, the multi-layer silicon structure. Actually, we are taking a silicon as one of the layer, N type or P type. So that we have to take. But we can quote in between. See, at present, the efficiency of a silicon material solar cell is only, I told you, about 17 to 19, at the most 21% efficiency, conversion efficiency. So if 100 units of the radiations are falling on the solar cell, only 17 units of the energy will be converted out of the 100. That means something about the 83% of the energy will be wasted out. So that energy, where does it goes? So it will heating of the instrument. So if we avoid, and if we whatever radiations fall on the cell, if we trap, because down conversion and up conversion is there. So that means when the radiations fall down photon, they will convert into an electron and holes, and then that will be stored in the battery. That is what you can say that the simple principle of the solar cell. Okay. So now what happened that when these radiations come down, so these radiations will get absorbed. Some of the radiations will be reflected back. So if we allow these radiations with the help of such a material which can resist this photon. So because the nanomaterials are there and radiations which are almost the infrared radiations, if you compare wavelength wise and the size of the nanomaterial, the crystal, ferrite crystals, then it is possible that anything, if we want, जैसे morning में we can take a cup of tea. So we can add tea leaves, then sugar, and then some kind of the ginger, this and that, like that. And then we filter it out. So likewise, that part, raw part of the tea leaves or the ginger and the other thing that we added, that will be filtered off. And only the liquid that we will be getting, we can call it as a tea. So likewise, this sheave has a size which is smaller than the size of the tea leaves. I think you are getting me. Okay. So therefore, we can say that if we have the size of the crystals is such that it will be smaller than the wavelength of the radiations which are being trapped. So it is possible because of the nanomaterials, the crystal size we can reduce to a nano size, and therefore we can say that we can trap those energies, and the energy with the internally we can convert it, and the material which we have developed in my lab we have raised the efficiency from 21% to 27%. We succeeded, and we require some good technology by which we can increase the efficiency. So that is one of the projects that we have taken, and one of my student has got the patent for developing environment by using nanomaterial. Yeah, we can develop some coatings or paints. It is already been there. So unfortunately, because my laptop doesn't work, otherwise I have a small clip also which I can share with you, and you can share with these delegates also. That is possible, or they can search it on the internet. That these paints are heat resistant paint. Even some cars are there. You can see some beautiful color, attractive color cars are there. So when you sit inside that, you can have the greenhouse effect. When the car is being kept on the sun radiation, so it will heat up and the radiations will be trapped. But some of the paints are there which are coming in the market, and still some things are at high resistance temperature, the painting, so that it can keep the temperature cooling. And maybe we can make use of that paint. So I cannot tell you that we can coat the whole earth with the help of the nano paint so that we can reduce the temperature. But to a certain extent, definitely we can do that. And there is a possibility, because still the nano material has not been explored to its full extent. We only have explored the nano material or nano technology to 1 or 2%. Still 99-98% is unexplored. So yeah, it is possible.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question is from Dr. Mahesh Bhadane. Applications-oriented research is important, or only synthetic characterization based?
Okay, so what I got is whether the applications are important or synthesis is important. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. See, anything which we discover or which we have innovated or developed is only useful when it has certain applications. If that material do not have any application, then what is the use of that?
But for a particular applications, as per my knowledge is concerned about the nanomaterial I'm talking, that there are to 24 different kind of techniques or synthesis methods are there. All the 24 type of technique we cannot use for a particular designing of a particular material. If we want to have the thin film, we have to make use of the CVD or PVD, physical vapor deposition or chemical vapor deposition. If you want a particle size powder form, then we may have to use a sol gel technique or some other attrition technique, physical techniques are there. So the synthesis methods or synthesis techniques are very important, no doubt, but the applications are not there. This is where we are lacking. This is where we are not visioning. So any researcher, I'm telling you, even a PhD scholar has to think one or other application and has to work on that, and for that application, what kind of synthesis is required, accordingly he should change. Many times the people think that the PhDs are doing only basic. If somebody takes X is equal to 0.5, the other one takes X is equal to 0.75. Not like that. One has to think that he should come out of that mentality and think about one or other application so that they can go for the application, and then its usability or its importance will be increased, and he or she may have some patent also. This is one of the area also wherein the researcher, and particularly I'm talking about the Indian researcher, has to think. Yes.
Thank you, sir. You have given a very nice explanation. Sir, next question is from Ram Babu. Please explain surface area to volume ratio in nano size materials.
Yeah, so simple example I would like to give you. Take a cube, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. The volume of the cube will be 1 meter cube. Ma'am, yes or no? You tell me, because yes, I am I am the teacher from the old generation. So I want the response. So 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, 1 meter cube is the volume. And what is the surface area? Because it has a 6 faces, isn't it? So 1 meter by 1 meter, that is 1 meter square into 6 meters square. Now, if I divide that cube into 2 parts, if I cut this cube into the middle, then I got 2 cubes. One cube is of half meter. The one dimension will be half meter, and the other dimension will be half. If I join these 2 cubes, then the volume will be same. But now surface area that has been increased. Now it has 8 meter square surface area. Got it? Now again I cut into another part, then again the surface area increases 10 meter cube. Volume same. And now so on, if I go on cutting like that, what will happen? The volume remains same, but the surface area that will be increased. And because increase the surface area, the property number 1, mechanical property that will change, property number 2, optical property that will change, property number 3, magnetic property change, property number 4, electrical property change, electronic property change, and biological property. So many things that will change, and that change is occurred because of the increase in the surface.
Yes, correct, sir. Sir, next question is from Jitendra, sir. Zinc oxide is how to be used as a face powder for sports person. Please clarify.
Yeah. So this zinc oxide, you see the particle size of zinc oxide. The crystal, the zinc oxide is a crystalline material. And if you see the crystal size of the zinc, then the size of the zinc crystal, or you can say that the void means a gap between the 2 atoms. When you attach 2 spherical balls or 4 spherical balls, some void will be created, vacuum will be created, or the empty space will be created. This empty space is called as, in crystallography, it is called as a void. Okay, and that can be calculated with the help of a packing fraction. So
when we consider this void, so this void is smaller than the wavelength of ultraviolet radiation. Whatever the wavelength of ultraviolet radiation is there, so this ultraviolet radiation is having a larger wavelength than the void of zinc oxide particle. So therefore, just now told you give an example of a tea. We are filtering tea powder we are taking after the tea is complete boiled, isn't it? So likewise it won't penetrate through the sieve, जो जिसको हम लोग छाननी बोलते हैं, छाननी से नीचे में पानी वो चाय के साथ में पत्ती नहीं आती है. Likewise, these ultraviolet radiations when fall on the zinc oxide powder, they won't get penetrate inside through the zinc oxide powder. So when the paste, when it will be coated with the gel, any kind of the gel general use, so that will protect the skin, and the burning of the skin that doesn't take place, because this cricketer has to stand for whole day in the lights or heat.
Yes. Sir, next question is from Devendra sir. How the properties of ferrite materials change at nanoscale? Which is the best method to create nanoscale ferrite?
In my laboratory, we are using some 4 different kind of the techniques, because I am working on a solid ferrite. Okay. Wherein some soft ferrite and hard ferrites also we have fed so many. And the technique which I am using is a very simple technique. Anybody, even you can prepare a nanomaterial in your college lab. So what we have taken a domestic microwave assisted sol gel technique. Microwave assisted, with the help of microwave or any conventional heater also we can develop. So we are using microwave because we can reduce the time. In a 3 minutes we can prepare a nanomaterial. So I am using a sol gel technique. I am using a co-precipitation technique. Even sometime if required, I can use what I say spray pyrolysis technique also. Another technique that I am using is hydrothermal technique. So out of which sol gel technique and co-precipitation technique is very simple. Once you prepare a sol, you put it inside the microwave oven and you have to atomize it. You require that kind of the expertise, you have to learn it. And within a 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, we can get a fluffy mass, because the rest of the thing get burnt off, whatever that the solvent is remain over there, solvent burnt off, and the fluffy mass that will be created. So that is possible in a 2.5 minutes. So we are using that techniques in my lab. If anybody is interested to see the demonstration, I can give once the college is open in the maybe in the August. Yeah, here it reminds me, in a Priyadarshini college there is a knowledge center. So I am joined with this knowledge center, and some people are interested to know how the nano material that can be synthesized. So I am giving the experimental what I say experiment. I am performing experiment and synthesis of the nanomaterial. So anybody who is interested can come or can write me. I can give one of my research paper, or you can say the chapter is on the synthesis of nanomaterial. Very nice, explained 21 different kind of the techniques which are very simple.
Yes, sir. Sir, obviously one participant would like to collaborate with you for the nanomaterial work. He has given his comment in the chat box. He's Jitendra Ladal, sir.
Okay. He is from Nagpur or from outside Nagpur?
Sir, I can't see in the chat box. But
yes, you can give my email ID to you. Okay.
Yes,
you can give my email ID, or I already
will
put
share.
the email. Yeah,
yes,
you can share my email ID, my phone number, and talk. No problem.
Yes, sir.
Happy.
Sir, next question is there. Why the most of the research carriage does not come out as technology in India?
Yeah.
It remains confined in the lab only.
Yes. Yeah, it is very true, because for converting your research. The attitude for doing a research is not there. I'm very sorry to say here that whenever student come to me and ask me that I want to join for a PhD, let me share my personal experience. Maybe some of my students may be listening me, and then when they do their primary work and they submit their synopsis, then after submission of synopsis, they don't show their face for almost 2 years. So out of 5 years, 2 years has gone. Then third year, they start calling me after every fortnight or after month. Sir, how are you? I am fine. Sir, what are you doing? I am sitting and eating. So likewise, this question answer session goes on for another 6 months or 8 months. Then last 2 years, the frequency call that has increased. Then it is from fortnight to it is 1 week. And then it goes on like that. And then they ask, sir, how could I start my work and this and that? So this attitude is very bad. Some students, when in a first year, even if they do not show their face to a guide or to whosoever is mentor, they should read as much as they can. They should read. In my time, when I did my PhD, I have to get a research paper. I have to write down to the INSDOC, National Information and Documentation Center, Delhi, wherein to get a single paper, I have to wait for 2 months. And after 2 months, when I get my paper by paying some money, hardly 1 or 2 paper is of my use. The other is raddi. You can say that it is of no use. So that was a situation. We used to sit in a library, LIT library, wherein we can go through the abstract, this and that, like that. But now, if you click on a Google, you can get any research paper. A paper which has been published 1 hour before, that is available, but that is the people get downloaded and put it in their computer or wherever. But the habit of reading is very important, because unless I do not read it, because that is a new for me. And when you go to your guide, what your guide tell you that you take this series, then student never dare to ask, why do I take this series? Why do I take x is equal to 0.5? Why not x is equal to 0.05? So he do not have that attitude. He is always think that my guide is always right. No, your guide is always wrong, because he is doing research and you are doing a labor work for him. So that attitude should change. One should do serious research work. Don't worry about the research facility. Research facility nowadays, it is available everywhere in India. Any kind of research facility is available. You do some collaboration. You have some collaboration with the other people, with the foreigners also. They are ready. They can pay for that. You can get some scholarship also. Go there, study, and do some research. But while doing research work, I'm telling you, don't do a basic research work. If somebody is adding calcium, the other person will come with a barium, the third one will come strontium, the fourth one will get Pb, and then the fifth one will come calcium and barium, and like the combination. Don't do the homeopathic combination. Think about some application. And be confident about yourself. I am telling you, anybody can do that. And once you do the application-oriented research work, get it patentized. Instead of publishing a research paper in a peer-reviewed journal, in a care-listed journal, in a elsewhere journal, go for a patent. And after patenting the thing, we have in Nagpur Rajiv Gandhi IPR Center, in the Intellectual Property Right Center, in front of the Institute of Science, or in adjacent to the Isla College. There is a center where these people are helping you out. Even the person contact me, I can tell you how to patentize their research. So they should go for a patent, and once they go for a patent, go for a national patent, go for an international patent. And once you go for a national international patent, definitely I am sure that we can do a wonder, because Indian researchers are very good researcher. I am telling you. Just think about 10 years back, China and India were on the same platform 10 years back. Now from India, if 500 research papers are published in a peer-reviewed journal, from China, 5,000 or more than 5,000 research papers are published. This ratio is widening this gap because every Chinese researcher is thinking of some or other application. They don't worry about what kind of the product that will be. We know the Chinese product, but we don't know the real Chinese product. They are very good, but the bad products are coming to us and very cheap Chinese. But we should now stop using the Chinese product also. Okay, so we can do that wonder, provided you should have the right attitude.
Yes, sir, correctly said. We have to change our attitude. Sir, there is a next question from Dr. Murnal. In photodynamic therapy, we use nanophotosensitizers to kill cancerous cells. Sir, how far are these magnetic materials comparable to them as quoted for hyperthermia?
Can you repeat, ma'am? I could not understand the question.
Yes. In photodynamic therapy, we use nanophotosensitizers to kill cancerous cells. How far are these magnetic materials comparable to them as
I got it. In a conventional therapy that is used for the treatment of the cancer is radiation therapy and chemotherapy. So they have their own drawbacks. They have their own adverse effect on the health of the patient. The patient loss appetite and so many things are there, pain and joint pain and many more problems are there. Now in hyperthermia applications, when we use this, see if the cyst is there inside the body. For example, we take the cyst is inside the body, inside the tummy, in the stomach area. Then the patient either has to go for the operation to remove the cyst, and then in operation it has one its drawback that if they cut a little less part, which is infected part is not been cut properly, then again the cancer will be generated over there. So then that can be after the operation, the patient has to go for the radiation where this photosensitizer therapy that we use, a particular kind of the radiations will be sensitized. But in hyperthermia, you need not have to go for the operations. So you are avoiding the operation because the operation has its own complications. Now what we can do in hyperthermia, when the nanoparticles, which are basically magnetic material, when they will be inserted inside the body through the blood, they will be guided. So these are guided magnetic particle guided to a particular area where it has been affected. That can be seen with the help of the CAT scan or any other kind of the scanning process. And then when they will be allowed, so what happened that the experimentations are going on. Even I am also working on this hyperthermia application. So what we have observed that if a patient require 25 cycles of this radiation, are you getting me? 25 बार अगर उसको radiation लेना पड़ता है, so then that can be reduced to a 2 to 3 cycle of radiation. So this is the advantage of the hyperthermia application, that we can reduce we can nullify the operation. We need not have to go for operation, and the cycle of radiations for any remote possibility. So that can be reduced from 25, means almost 80 to 90% that cycle of radiations that has been reduced, so that a person who is going for 25 cycle of radiation has to go for 2 or 3 cycle, or at the most 5 cycle, and the patient gets cured. So it is possible. So it has advantage.
Sir, how negative Snell's law of refractive index works?
That is a metamaterial. That is what the material is there. See, ma'am, very simple thing. You just imagine a stone, a piece-sized stone, and a radiation. You throw a radiation on that, and if you place a screen behind the stone or any object, what happens? That image will be seen, isn't it? Yes. That image or the shadow of that object that you see. If it is an opaque object, this shadow will be there. Now what happened that this metamaterial we can take in such a way that if we coat the metamaterial, so they do not what I can say that when the radiations that will fall on that, so the radiations will curve themselves. They will not be stopped by the object. They will curve themselves. जैसे मानकर चलिए कि मैं रास्ते में एक हिंदी इज ओके या
Yes, sir.
या तो रास्ते में एक मानकर चलिए बड़ा सा गड्ढा है, राइट, एंड इफ somebody is going, what happened, बड़ा सा गड्ढा है तो what he will do, he will not repeat, isn't it? He will turn, he will change the path and again he will continue. The exactly same thing will be happening in case of a metamaterial. The radiation, the light will change its path, they will curve themselves and then they will progress. So therefore, there is no blockage of the light. So therefore, whatever the information the light will be carrying out, so that will be carried forward. This is what the metamaterial. So therefore, I told you that negative Snell's law is there because on the same side of the incident light, the refracted light will be occurring. So that is why it will not be going to the other side, it will coming in the same side. So therefore the image is visible.
Okay. Really. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, last question I'm taking. What is the life of materials manufacturing by microwave assisted soul gel method?
What is the life?
Life of material manufactured by the microwave assisted soul gel method.
You are talking about a nanomaterial?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So microwave assisted life, if we use a proper capping agent, that is, capping agent is something like a material which can protect the material. See, these nanomaterials are very sensitive to heat, thermal sensitivity is there. So if we protect the capping agent material by using a proper capping material, surfactant or like that, then what will happen? We can extend the life to more than 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. That is possible with the help of a capping. Proper capping agent we have to. So with the help of capping agent, it is possible to protect the material from the from agglomerization. You can say that. Once the material is agglomerized, then it converts from nanomaterial to bulk material. So capping agent can help you in protecting your material.
Then how we come to know that which capping material we have to use? Which type of?
You have to search out because that material should not interact with the material.
Yes.
If it interacts with the material, then something else that will be formed.
That
It is something like that. You are going in a rain. You are using a plastic coat. So you are protecting your body from getting it wet. So like that, there are different kind of the categories of the capping agent that depends upon what kind of the materials that you are using. Suppose my material is a magnetic material, I cannot make use of the magnetic capping material because it will interact with that and something that else will be formed. So I have to make use of the non-magnetic material so we can cap which cannot have any kind of chemical interaction with your constituent material. So that you have to search it out. So that is not a big issue or big problem. Some kind of the polymers are also being used.
Sir, can you tell something about multiferroids? The question has been asked 2 to 3 times by the Uma Gaikwad madam. So I'm taking this question. Can you tell something about multiferroids?
Yeah, multiferroids is something like that. We can have the multifunction of the material. Multifunction, you can say that. The same material can make use of for the one application, the same material can be used for the another application. And within the material, we can make use of such a combinations of the different kind of the material, which can which can intricate the different properties in the material. So that is what I can say in a short. So that is multiferroid is possible.
Thank you so much, sir. So here I'll end with the question answer session. Really very informative information you have given about everything. So now I will hand over the session to the Professor Aditi Tulankar madam.
Yes. Thank you, Archana madam. And thank you, Revatkar sir, for such an excellent and informative session. Thank you so much. Tomorrow we will be having the 6th and the last day of our STTP, and we will have the expert talk by Dr. KVR Murthy, which will be followed by the valedictory program. I solicit the consent from the participants who wish to volunteer themselves to put forth their views and give their feedback about the STTP in the valedictory function. So I request the participants whosoever wish to give their feedback during the valedictory function, they should please send their names to Dr. Mrs. Sangeeta Wankhede Madam by today evening, that is by 5 to 5:30 p.m. latest, so that we can incorporate your names during the valedictory function. And so thank you all once again. Thank you, Revatkar sir, so much for a very informative talk. And thank you everyone to be patient and very active during the session. So till we meet tomorrow again for the last day of our STTP, till then, goodbye, take care, stay safe and stay home. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.